but it kind of shows me that, okay, if these companies want to do it, they can do it. And we have a test product there already. What is up, VeVe Fam? Welcome back to another episode of the VeVe Vantage Podcast. As you all know, music will be one of the new pillars that VeVe will introduce in 2023. But what does a music NFT look like? So we did some research and found 3 ways that other companies and platforms, huge companies by the way, like Spotify, have been using for their NFT program. Let's get to it. For a long time, I've always been curious, like what kind of NFTs that can be related to music, because usually you think, oh, this artist gonna release a digital collectible or maybe a song or something like that, but that doesn't sound very exciting. So I did some research on how music NFTs work, and this is a disclaimer. So these examples that I found of music NFTs might not apply to VeVe. In fact, I think VeVe won't be able to do the majority of them, but these are good examples of how other established companies and platforms are doing it. And these are not like pump and dump projects. These are billion-dollar companies like Spotify. This is how they're doing it with NFT. So the purpose of this topic is to satisfy my curiosity, just to give everybody an idea on how music NFTs can be done. So long story short, there are 3 types of NFTs. The first one is access, second one is products, and last but not least, royalties. So I'm going to go through the first type of music NFT, which is access. A few weeks ago, there was a huge partnership in the music NFT space. So there was this group called Kingship, Kingship. This is a Metaverse band. And to those who are listening, you may think, oh, this is another lame band by some crypto bros, right? Well, Kingship is the first band that comes out of the Bored Apes ecosystem. So this band was created by 4 Bored Ape owners. And you will not see their face, but instead you will see the avatars, which would be the Bored Apes that they own. So there are 4 artists in this band. They haven't set the genre that they're playing. They don't even have a song yet. So at first they sound pretty lame, right? Well, even though like these are 4 Bored Apes, they're very expensive, but they don't have any songs. They came out 2 years ago. But the really interesting thing here is that they were signed by Universal Music Group. And to those who are listening, are you familiar with that company?
Universal
Music Group? Yeah.
I might be familiar with maybe some previous business or like business that they may have conducted with bands in the past, perhaps. It sounds familiar because Universal, but enlighten me.
Okay, so think of Justin Bieber, Coldplay, Imagine Dragons, Taylor Swift, Drake, Ariana Grande. This is the company that manage those artists. So they're huge. They are probably the biggest talent management company out there in the music industry. So they signed with this Kingship Metaverse band. But the thing here is that a few weeks ago, Kingship had a partnership with Spotify to release a playlist that is exclusive to the NFTs holders of Kingship on Spotify. So there is a playlist out there, and this is more of like a test project between Spotify and Kingship, aka Universal Music, that if you want to access this playlist on Spotify, you need to have an NFT from Kingship. So I use Spotify on a daily basis. And are you familiar with Spotify? Do you use them to listen to music and podcasts and stuff?
I do.
Okay, all right. So you probably like use their playlists and stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah. So for this particular test program that they're doing, just to test out NFTs on Spotify, they will be having this playlist exclusive to the Kingship NFT holders only for Android devices in certain countries, including the US, Australia, and New Zealand. So the way it works is that you would find this playlist on Spotify, which is called the Kingship exclusive playlist. And then usually when you come into a playlist, you can hit play and it will play, right? But for this particular playlist, you hit play and it will require you to connect your crypto wallet. So your MetaMask or anything like that. So you need to prove that you own an NFT from this project. And then after you verify it, you will be able to access this playlist. And in this playlist, they don't have any song yet, but there are other songs from other artists that are managed by Universal Music Group. So the way I think about this is that this is not really something revolutionary. This is more of like a utility for the community of this particular project. But I thought this is pretty cool because the onboarding process to access this utility is so easy. Like you open up Spotify, which is used by hundreds of millions of people everywhere. You only need to collect your NFT wallet and then you're in. So I thought that was pretty cool. And Spotify, if you think about it, this is a huge music platform, right? Many people tune in every day. Me personally, the majority of our listeners for this VeVe Vantage podcast come from Spotify. So people come in, tune in for music and podcasts. So there's a lot of visibility there. And so in the past, they have already introduced this feature that will allow artists to sell NFTs on a platform. And then now there's also this token gated playlist that they are testing with Universal Music. So I thought that was pretty cool.
One of the first things that came to mind is how would it work with people who have not disclosed their identity or who have not done any KYC while holding onto their Bored Ape, and then they decide to, in order to access the playlist on Spotify, don't you have to have an account with Spotify in order to access the music? Or is there a way for the Bored Ape owners to bypass the need to register an account so that they don't have to give up their identity if they don't want to, you know?
Yeah, so to answer that, creating a Spotify account is pretty easy. You can just create an email address and do that. And secondly, let me clarify it better. You don't need a Bored Ape to access this playlist. You need an NFT from this band created by 4 Bored Apes owners. So this is a kingship NFT, sort of like a key. This is not a Bored Ape project. It's just that the band is created by 4 Bored Ape owners, and they use the Bored Apes as the avatar. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, they don't have to verify anything. They can just hook up their wallet, create a Spotify account, and boom, they're in. To be honest, this doesn't sound attractive to me in terms of utility because this is just another playlist, right? But it kind of shows me that, okay, if these companies want to do it, they can do it. And we have a test product there already in terms of like Spotify introducing music, right? And I doubt this is something that VeVe can do simply because it requires interoperability. It requires VeVe to sign with like Universal Music or other music talent management companies. But this is a good example that I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot more that could go with that, right? Like you also, so you mentioned access, products, and royalties.
Yeah.
That the other part of that access component is maybe in the metaverse, it would give you an access pass to a concert, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Come out. That's just one of the things that I've heard actually happen already.
Yeah, you got a good point there because the Travis Scott Metaverse concert in Fortnite, I think it got like 12 million people tune in. So like 12 million Fortnite players watch that concert. So I can definitely imagine these companies partnering together in a metaverse. And if you want to attend this concert, then you need to show something. And this NFT thing can be a part of it. One idea that I had during the process of researching is that when a new artist comes out with a new album, right? So the album can have 20 songs and they can leave out one song or one version of a song, like just the vocal, just the instrument, or one separate song that can only be accessed by the NFT holders of that, like the fan base of that artist. So if Justin Bieber comes out with a new album, 20 songs, if you don't have the NFT from Justin Bieber, you can listen to 19 songs. If you do have one, you can listen to this exclusive version, that one last song, which is fair for everybody, right? Because you allow everybody to listen to the majority of the album. But if you are true fans, if you invest in Justin Bieber, you can get access to that one last song, or just like a song, but like the vocal version of it.
One of the first things that comes to mind when you mentioned that, like that secret track, how easy would it be for someone to bootleg that, or just like record it on another device and then stream it online, or make a YouTube channel and play it?
Yeah.
I know
100%. 100%.
I know that those companies are pretty quick to get those pages suspended, but it still get out there, and those things go viral pretty quick, right?
Yeah, 100%. I 100%. I do agree completely. Like people would bootleg it and post it on YouTube within an hour, or maybe even less than that. But I think it's like that feeling of being in, like I am a fan of The Weeknd, this pop R&B guy. If I were to have the privilege of listening to his song exclusively because I have an NFT from him just an hour before everybody else can listen to that song, then I feel pretty good about myself. And that gives me the bragging right to tell my friends, oh, that song, I listened to it before all of you guys. So, it may not be something that can be taken too seriously, but it can give people that bragging right, that exclusivity, or just something to be happy about because they're in an inner circle, of a very small inner circle of that particular artist that they are a fan of.
Yeah, I think just being able to take it like a step further, it's a launching point, right?
Mhm.
Because, as they start to onboard people who buy those NFTs of the band that they like, called, for example, Kingship, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of time to explore and tinker with different ideas. And, there's plenty of time.
Yeah. So that leads me to the next kind of music NFT product, which is royalties. And this is a very, very interesting case. And so, are you familiar with Rihanna?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so she produced many hit songs, right? So there's this one song in particular called "Bitch Better Have My Money," which came out in 2015 and is extremely popular. And so a song is from Rihanna and produced by many people. So it's not her producing a song, it's the company behind her, maybe like Universal Music. It's the writers, it's the producers. So when a songs get released, the name is Rihanna, but there are many people behind it. And therefore, the revenue of the song is split to multiple parties. And especially in the music industry, a lot of those people, so artists actually, like Rihanna or Justin Bieber, make the bulk of their income through touring. But for these other folks who work on the same song, they make the bulk of their money through streaming revenue. And so if Rihanna put her song on Spotify, and whenever any of us play her song on Spotify, she gets a very, very tiny amount of money. But when a song is streamed like 100 million times or a billion times, in this particular case, it adds up to quite a bit of money. But long story short, one of the producers of this song, Bitch Better Have My Money, he owns 1% of the streaming right to this song. So if the streaming revenue of this song is $1 million, then he gets 1% of that is $10,000, right? So what he did was, and that 1 million was like, I made that number just to make it easier. So what he did was, this guy, his nickname is Deputy. He fractionalized his ownership of 1% of the streaming revenue of that particular song and sold it as NFTs.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. So now when people come in and buy that NFT, and there was like 300 versions available, and if you were to buy it, and it sold originally so there were 300 editions. So that 1% broken down by 300 editions, and it sold originally for $210, and each holder will receive 0.0033% of the streaming royalty. So because you take 1% divided by 300, you get that tiny number, right? So he fractionalized his royalty before Rihanna announced that she will perform this song during the Super Bowl halftime show. So the demand for this NFT skyrocketed, and now people are selling it for around $600 and something, which is 3x the revenue of that. And what's even more interesting is that, because I mentioned in the very beginning, this is all about royalties, right? They would do payouts. So maybe like once a quarter, Spotify will pay Rihanna's team or company an X amount of dollars for the streaming revenue, right? And then let's just say $1 million. Then this guy will get 1% of that, which is $10,000. He will take that $10,000 and distribute it to the 300 NFTs holders. So these people, maybe on February 16, so maybe like two weeks ago, actually got paid. So they own this NFT. Now it's just gone 3x, and then once every month or once every quarter, they get some royalties from streaming services. And that's forever. Like as long as people are still streaming this song, and people do until today, even though it's been 8 years since this song came out, the NFTs holder will get some royalties money, and it's pretty small. I think it's like 6% a year or something. That's like the return on investment.
Mhm.
But it is something, it is a really cool concept that will allow the fans to really participate in investing in the artists that they want to invest in, that they are a fan of.
That's cool for them to be able to be not only a fan, but an investor in the success of a particular artist. I mean, where else could you really get that unless you have big money, right?
Yeah.
Just have a fraction. That's some exciting stuff. Just a side note, it reminds me, I have a buddy that I work with who was one of the original writers for Star Trek,
Mm.
the original show, and he still gets royalties
Oh,
from
nice.
from from the show being on air. What channels? I don't know, but I didn't ask him how much, but he's just saying like it's barely some gas money every month. But this is like, I don't know, 2, 3 decades later, which is pretty cool. So it could, with music being more relevant. Well, I don't know. I don't know what would last longer, TV shows or particular songs. But anyways, I could see how that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I can definitely see people being very strategic about a song they choose. Like, oh, it has to be a Christmas song. It has to be a New Year song, right? Because then people will play it every single year forever. Like Happy New Year by APA, right? Or like Happy Birthday song or whatever. Or like this Christmas song that everybody plays every December, right? So I think that is going to be very interesting. It might not have anything to do with VeVe, but that is a possibility. And that is kind of a project that if the VeVe fam are interested in, they can go and look at it.
I see a parallel here to the Coca-Cola snow globes and
Hmm.
the Christmas truck, that the activity for those cannot, I mean, I'm just speaking of, thinking off the top of my head. The activity, like the purchasing and the selling for those snow globes and Coca-Cola truck and anything else related to specific holidays, the activity cannot be that high outside of the holiday season, right?
Hmm.
It's just kind
Yeah.
of sitting there. So I could definitely see like you're right in the sense that you could time it really well. So if you buy fractions of a song for royalties around Christmas time, for example, and Christmas time is when people need money the most for traveling and buying each other gifts or whatever people like to do during that time of the year. That could be very beneficial, especially if you pick the right songs, right?
Yeah,
That's
or like the right artists, because a lot of the time these up and coming artists, they don't have the money to go on tour. They don't have the money to produce the music they want to produce. Because if you want to produce music, I love music. Like I'm really into music. If you want to produce a good song, you need the right producers to work with. You need to rent out a studio, because the studio has all the equipment for you to fine tune every single little details. If they want to go on tour, they need to put a deposit on these venues, because on April 2nd, if you need to be in Brooklyn, New York, you need to be at that specific venue so that people can buy tickets and come, right? So you need to put out a deposit. What people can do is that if they believe in this artist, they can support the artist of buying NFTs or whatever to fund their tour, and then in return they can get some percentages of the future revenue from touring within the next 3 years, or something like that. And yeah, but going back to your point of Christmas, that reminds me of the Deadpool drop that VeVe did in the Christmas of 2021, and I was so disappointed, because Deadpool is a huge character, right? And then they came out with like, oh my God, I'm gonna say like that Deadpool drop, huge disappointment. Like he looks so dumb in that Christmas outfit, and we all know that these seasonal products, seasonal drops don't do well, because the drop came out in December, but then in like 2 months later in February, people already forgot about it, you know?
Yeah, I remember the Common is the most season neutral collectible because
Yes, yes.
he's not wearing a holiday sweater. And I saw a lot of people stack those because we were all expecting the new Deadpool movie to come out within like the next year or so. And then because of COVID, everything got delayed. And so now we're not going to see it until 2024, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
and also, I think that's the debut for X-Men, for Wolverine
Mm.
being incorporated in the MCU, perhaps.
Okay.
I think if I understood correctly, if I read that right. Anyways, yeah, I only had one. I only had the common collectible,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just got the secret rare, the mint that I wanted after
Okay.
completion. But yeah, I agree. I could see how it would be difficult to want to get it unless you're a big fan. I don't know. I agree. I wish it was season neutral, but
Yeah, sorry. Let me close my thoughts on music. So I mentioned the first ones were access, so token gated playlists. The second one is royalties. You earn money from the streaming revenue or the touring revenue of an artist or song. The
Mhm.
last one is pretty simple, is merchandise. So, these digital statues of an artist. But then I also wanted to mention something very important to the VeVe fam is that I don't think any of this, well, I don't think like the royalty and the access variables will happen anytime soon because it requires interoperability, it requires new partners. So if anything for music, we'll probably see some like artists coming on and dropping some digital collectibles. And also one other thing to note is that tech companies like Spotify and Meta and Google are going through a lot of layoffs just because they're preparing for a recession. I work in tech. My company recently went through something similar. I'm super grateful that I didn't lose my job, but I've seen many people got laid off and it's terrible, but they are really trying to cut down on expenses. So a lot of these companies will stop futuristic initiative. So I doubt Spotify will pick up their NFT feature anytime soon. I think they are trying to, just like every other tech company, they're trying to save money. So I doubt it's going to happen anytime soon, but I hope that provided some context, some ideas, maybe investment ideas to those who are listening when it comes to music.
That's exciting stuff. I can't wait to see what VeVe does when they do hit that vertical
Yeah.
and who they partner with too. I mean, we have time. Like, let's wait and see, right?
That is it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you have enjoyed the episode today and learn a little bit more about music NFTs and how other platforms and companies are doing it, because this might be how VeVe will be doing it too. Also, this is a reminder, nothing that we talked about is financial advice. And if you have enjoyed the episode today, please give us a review, give us a like, subscribe so that you don't miss out on the actionable and valuable insights, everything VeVe and Omi related. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you again next time.